The madness is here. Welcome back to the JC Pod, partner with Stare Down Sports, Stare Down Greatness. I have a friend here who we thought, was sweating by a hook. Meanwhile, he had about 20 hooks to spare. My guy, the March Madness King, the guy who knows college basketball the best around here. My guy, the red beard. How we doing, man? Let me pass the ball up there to you. How we doing up there?
Oh man, I couldn't be better. Couldn't be happier. This is the best time of the year. This is when you get everything, the emotions added to the skill. This is when the game matters. More than just in between the lines, and you get to see all of that, all the tension, all the family, all the love, everything come together, all the work these kids put in. This is the time of year it gets showcased to the world. Everybody's finally done with football. Everybody's still waiting on baseball. Like this is the moment for college basketball. NBA playoffs still not here yet for them to shine, and I'm just geeked up and excited. Uh, Man, couldn't tell you how excited I am. The madness is here.
I
Just
mean,
watched Louisville clinch number 2 seed in the ACC tournament, blowing out Stanford. Who the hell put Stanford in the ACC? Don't ask me.
and man, we already had some madness moments today with St. John's and them Arkansas boys who at one point I think you've pronounced them dead at least like 15 times and they want it so bad somehow, but then they don't at the same time. Kind of funny.
Man, I have pronounced Arkansas alive all season. Pretty much ever since the injury to Boogie Flan, I said buy stock in Arkansas. I think it
You
was
did
like
though.
plus 280. Jump on it, jump on it for them to make the tournament. I think last time I saw those odds, they are around like plus 160. Probably not going to be
Ooh.
plus money at all after today. I think today's win does solidify Arkansas, who is a team that I would love to talk about. This is a team not only I think will sneak into March. I think this is a team that can sneak into the Sweet 16 from the low seed. Right now, they're projected to be an 11 seed, which is a great spot to make a run. Right now, just right now, we're a week away from the bracket coming out. They would see St. Mary's.
Oh.
Arkansas has the offense to beat St.
Wow.
Mary's, and the number 3 in that bracket would be Wisconsin. Which Wisconsin would play Chattanooga. I think Wisconsin wins comfortably, but I can see Arkansas having the offense to beat St. Mary's and having the defense to hold Wisconsin, who's a firepower this year. This in the old Wisconsin. This in your grandpa's Wisconsin. This ain't your uncle's Wisconsin. They're gonna put some points on the board. Arkansas can run and gun. We can see, and this is why the tournament's so beautiful. Just in that little 4-team bracket, St. Mary's, Arkansas, Wisconsin, Chattanooga, we can see 3 different styles of games. We can see Arkansas, St. Mary's play a 62 to 61 game, and then Wisconsin, Arkansas turn around and go 89 to 90. So beautiful things like that happen in March. Arkansas, I think they're playing some of the best basketball right now. I can see Calipari bringing this team to a Sweet 16. Don't know how much money I'm going to have on it. That's the real question when you talk about all of this stuff is, well, will you
Yeah.
bet it? I don't know if I will, but out of those 4 teams, depending on how the bracket comes out next Sunday, if you're looking at St. Mary's and Wisconsin being the 2 games, I might bet Arkansas to make the Sweet 16. That's the one thing that does suck about this stuff. It's not like an NBA bracket where you kind of know some things for certain before Selection Sunday.
Yeah.
You don't have any idea. It's not like we got this matchup we can already look at.
So by the way, you said Selection Sundays when next Sunday, you say?
8 days, bruh.
Already. Already. Wow.
8 days, and then boom, we're here. We're there. And when you really think about it, we should start talking about baseball. This is already over. Season's done with. Matter of fact, we should start talking about NFL for next season. That's how fast time is flying. Uh,
Honestly,
just bring it all the way around.
it's crazy what time's flying. I mean, it's. I felt like I said, I just before we started, I'm like, man, I feel like I just talked to you during the end of a Super Bowl, and now we're talking March Madness, which is still just
Been
unbelievable. Um,
been, been about 3 weeks, bro. This city in the last month. We saw the Super Bowl and we saw Mardi Gras, and now we getting ready for the madness. The madness.
Man, I can't wait. The madness is surreal. I already know you got your big back bracket ready. You just got to find space in the wall, right?
Man, it's sitting behind the couch, 4 feet by 4 feet.
Just waiting to get filled out. Speaking of filling it out, though, could you quickly, if you could guess, what are some number one seeds you think will be in the tournament? Who are the four number one seeds that we will probably be seeing in this tournament?
Let me grab a pencil. When you're talking about filling out brackets, number one seeds. How is St. John's not a number one seed
What a
with
run!
the record and resume in Rick Pitino's second year? The Big East dominated by St. John's this year. I'm sorry.
No, you're all
Somehow,
good.
somehow
It
I got women's standings in front of me.
nice. Gotta love technology, right? No, it is crazy because St. John's kind of I'm not gonna say came out of nowhere, but they just like had a little like flip of the switch moment, and they've just been dominant since. It feels like
27-4. I was trying to get that record. Only four losses on the
that's
entire
insane.
season for a Big East school. You got Creighton 5 games behind them. Just overall record. They dominated that conference. Only four losses. I think, and I know it's not going to happen. St. John's is probably locked into where they're locked into, which right now I can't even find them on this bracket. I guess they're a 3 seed instead of a 2 seed. They're a 3 seed,
A
so that shows
three?
what I mean. I think St. John should be one of your 4 1 seeds. I
That's
do
weird.
understand how great Auburn and Florida is, but at the end of the day, who wins the conference? That should be the 1 seed. There should be a rule. You can't have more than one number one seed overall. They were talking about three SEC teams as a 1 seed at one point.
What?
Get that the hell out of here. Alabama, luckily for that idea, Alabama was on the 1 seed line for a while with Florida, Auburn, Alabama, and Duke. Alabama took a few losses, but entire season in the Big 12. So for that reason, Houston, St. John's, reluctantly, because I don't even think they're going to make the Sweet 16, Auburn, and then Duke, who I think is going to lose in the national title game.
A little teaser for you right there, but wow. I still can't. I'm still like fathom of the part. Like, man, St. John's is a one seed. Especially when UConn went back to back, right? I don't even think.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're scheduled to be a 8 seed. So, I mean, right now you're looking at realistically UConn getting upset in the first round by a 9 seed. If they make it past that, here's Duke. I don't think y'all have the talent to play with Duke. UConn, in my opinion, will not be leaving the first weekend. They'll be going home. Erlito and St. John's, that's a 3 seed. Actually, they have a great spot. I mean, here's a 14 seed, and then you beat them. Here's an 11 or a 6 seed, and then you go to Sweet 16. Whatever happens, happens. I think they should be a 1 seed, but I do like them as a 3 seed, even if they end up as a 2 or a 4 seed. It's just so many good teams this year, and not that it hasn't been good teams in the past, but we are used to seeing where it is a handful of teams and then a gap. This is more like 15 teams and then a gap, just as far as brackets go. There's going to be some 3 or 4 seeds that in past years would have been 1 seeds. Iowa State's a 3 seed. They got to get healthy. You got Kentucky, who is a 4 seed right now, projected. They'll probably end up about a 3 or 4 seed, but they were hurt. They're finally healthy. They were missing all three of their point guards on their roster for a few weeks. Kentucky is a team that's going to come into this bracket as a 4 seed, 5 seed, to watch out for. Now, you asked me about bubble teams and you asked me about 1 seeds. There's teams lower seeds, and I'm talking 4 to 12 that we need to be watching out for. I don't think this is going to be a 1-1-1-2 type of Final Four. Uh, you got teams like New Mexico. They're a 9 seed, which is criminally underrated. They just won the Mountain West. Regular season conference wins. don't matter anymore. It seems like from these standings. But you win the Mount West here, you're a 9 seed. You win the Big East here, you're a 3 seed. You win the Big Ten here, you're a 2 seed. It is weird, but that's the age we're in. We're in the social media age.
Like, you win a conference championship, it'd be like, hey, you are a minimum like a top five seed in the tournament. You would think you should get something like that, but
Yeah, some kind of math to where yeah, you got to be a top something. But to keep moving down the list real quick, I don't want to sit on it forever. New Mexico, dangerous. I think, and I was hoping this. I still hope this is Creighton. Whoever ends up taking on Auburn in that 8-1 matchup in the second round, I would love to see Creighton or New Mexico. But a lot of these teams on the list, I think if they run into Auburn, they can upset them in that second round. I think Auburn's gonna lose in the second round this year. I don't believe in them like a lot of people believe in them. They say Auburn or Duke versus the field. I'll take the field. I only believe Duke has a real chance to win the championship this year. Out of the two, being Auburn and Duke, Duke just hasn't won that close game yet this year. They've blown out a lot of teams, but I don't believe in them in a round of 32 game if they're up three or down three with 2 minutes left. If they can close that game out, now we'll see. That's what March Madness is. We'll see. But if they run into 3 or 4 of those games over the six in this tournament, one of them is going to bite them. But Oregon, as a 5 seed, is definitely dangerous. We all know Dana Altman gets better and better as the season goes on, and Oregon is built for March. Oregon's a team nobody wants to play come March. I think number 5 seed Oregon can be dangerous. Another number 5 seed. Everybody always talks about 12 seeds upsetting 5 seeds. I think this is a year where 5 seeds honestly could come out strong and sweep all 4 of their first round games. You're talking about Oregon, Missouri, Clemson, and Michigan. All 4 of these teams, Sweet 16 type teams without blinking. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 or 3 of these teams are in the Elite Eight or Final Four. Missouri, one of the best conferences this year in the SEC, and held their own. They did lose today to Kentucky, which just shows how good Kentucky is. Excuse me. I think I'm confusing the two. Missouri played somebody this morning. Missouri's in the Big 12. Man, I watched like 6 games already today. Trying to keep up.
see, today.
Yeah, so I ain't tripping.
So locked in, you
Anyway,
mess yourself up.
talking to myself in circles. But these 5 seeds, dangerous. All of them. Clemson, Michigan, Missouri, and Oregon. Final Four. I'm not saying they're going to the Final Four. Wouldn't be surprised if they make it there. But I don't think we're going to see a lot of 12 seeds as upsets. Drake is the one I like the most when you're talking 12 seeds this year. Drake, they will play Clemson. But Drake, just looking at the stats, I mean, this team's only lost 3 games total all season. They're 2-0 quad one for what it's worth. They're 24th ranked in defensive efficiency and 59 ranked in offensive efficiency. Slow paced team. That's the only thing that kind of everybody says styles make fights. Drake, one of the literally like last slowest teams in the entire country. If they can make the offense slow paced teams, what they do to themselves, and I don't think they realize this, is now you make every offensive possession mean that much more. Every shot means that much more. You get to the second half, you go cold for 6 minutes, you lose the game. But if Drake can hit their shots, I can see them as a 12 seed going on a little run. Maryland and Kentucky, both from the 4 seed line, those are 2 teams I think we definitely need to watch out for. Maryland has a guy with the last name of Queen on it, who I think is going to solidify himself as a top 3 NBA pick this March. I think he's going to be that North Carolina State like DJ Burns like media run. We're going to see this kid Queen from Maryland end up in the Sweet 16 or Elite Eight, doing some big things from the 4 seed line. Old Mississippi. Nobody's talking about Old Miss. Chris Beard and the gang, they're at that 7 seed line, very dangerous. I don't believe too much in Texas Tech, who's that 2 seed right there. Utah State, the Mountain West, don't know what they're gonna do. Old Miss. When you're talking about the SEC, I don't really. Not that I hate Florida or Auburn or Alabama, but I think it's those lower schools like Missouri, Old Miss, and Kentucky coming out of the SEC that are going to be dangerous come tournament time. Arkansas, even from that 11 line, when speaking of the SEC. And then Louisville. We just watched them win by 20 over Stanford. The thing I like about Louisville, not only do they have a beautiful record, they haven't played with their food. If they're supposed to beat a team by 13, they beat them by 27 and they laugh at them. Not a lot of close games with bad teams. And I like that. I like a team that's going to take the game serious. They're going to get into this tournament, and you can bet one thing when you're putting your money on Louisville that they're going to come ready to execute.
We will know.
And I just want to, I literally, I had to stop myself from going full Rain Man mode. I was about to fill up an entire notebook with every possible uh, matchup, like every possible matchup, and handicap it just in case that matchup came up. And then I realized I would be handicapping about 700,000 different possibilities for only a true outcome of 68.
One more week and let that little bracket get filled out, so you don't put yourself through
Yeah.
that much stress. And I won't lie, you might not be seeing numbers straight after that.
Nah, yeah, that would be crazy. And I wanted to do it for the whole thing too, because I don't want it to be second round or Sweet 16, and I haven't thought about that matchup. Like, yeah, if somehow Creighton and Gonzaga in the Sweet 16, I want to have at least a little outline of a handicap started.
So it'll be like, hey, don't got to be stressing knowing numbers when you already got a number at least in front of you.
Man, I cannot wait, bro.
Teams you want to talk about, by the way? Sorry to interrupt you, but is there any other bubble teams you kind of want to touch on that, like, let's say even might make the tournament and have a chance to go on a deep run, anything like that? Any teams that we should keep an eye on that might have, like you said, NC State type of run. Any teams kind of like that that might have a fun little run or like need to have a run in general, I guess. Take it how you
I
will.
know the things about those is that they're so far in between, and people think that that's going to happen every year where you get a team like that, and it could happen this year. But trying to call something like that is, I mean, you can't even call one of the best teams that's going to win it, much less a bad team that's going to go on a run. Um, I want to throw some teams out of the hat, but Nebraska, if they can get in, they are dangerous only because they have. You need three or four things, and you don't need all of them to win games in March. You need a superstar that can take over and get you 40 points if you need them to. That's Bryce Williams for Nebraska. You need stifling defense, which is Nebraska. You need to be able to hit threes and make a ton of shots that you usually don't make, which I've seen Nebraska do. And you need guards with experience. Like I said, you don't need all four of those things, but three out of four, definitely two out of four to even have some kind of magic. Nebraska is a team. Right now, they are not in it. They're one of the first four out. But I think if Nebraska can go on a nice run this week in the Big Ten tournament, the Big Ten tournament is going to answer a lot of questions for this bracket. Big Ten tournament, as far as seeding, where teams go, where teams end up, teams like Indiana, Ohio State, Michigan, Nebraska, even Rutgers, which believe it or not, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Rutgers is literally the last seed in the Big Ten. If you want to pick a team that can do it, you're talking about a team that's going to have two of the top five NBA drafts next season. Maybe they do have that light switch they can turn on and just go ahead, win the Big Ten tournament, and make a damn run to the Final Four. Rutgers, talent wise, is the only team I really see that can do it. But they're going to come from the Big Ten this year if they do it. The ACC's down. They're going to get their best what's it called? Their best soldiers in the tournament. The Big 12's down. SEC's having an up year, which I don't know. two blades to every sword. Some people say they're going to be ready. Some people say they're going to be worn down. I don't know how you look at it as somebody who played football. If you got to play the best of the best of the best every week,
Where personally for me, I felt like that always like I feel like that prepared you the most because then you got into the turn. Like for example, at this tournament, if you get into a tournament, then all of a sudden if you play a team that's like they're a good team, but they're from a smaller conference with all the talent and everything, you kind of feel it out, and you're like,
yeah,
man, these boys can't dribble with their left hand. Like it's one of those things where I feel like if you do play tougher competition, it does do that. But also, that's always my thing too. I always wonder, it's like, man, it does wear you down, but at the same time, if I had to say, I don't know if totally for basketball, but football wise, I always think it's better to play the tougher teams because then at worst, it's easier. I guess is the best way to put it.
nah, yeah. I mean, that's a great way to put it. It is a great way to put it because the SEC, I think, is going to have 12 or 13 teams in this thing, and they're
Each
all
other,
going to be
right?
dangerous. You said what?
Right, with how big conferences are now, I don't. I'm assuming teams still can play each other in basketball at least once.
Yeah, yeah. They all played each other at least once. I mean, I didn't even mention Georgia. They're a 10 seed, but Georgia, man, I mean, they had a crazy game today. They can go on a run. They got the talent. I mean, their fans are into it. That school is turning the F up. I mean, they got Slim Jesus on their team. How could they lose? Slim Jesus. You're gonna have to connect the dots on your own on that one.
I might have to do some research on the Slim Jesus guy because I won't lie to you. My SEC basketball ain't up to par this year, so I don't know. I don't know that Slim Jesus stuff you're talking about.
The kid's electric, man. I mean, they're down two to Florida with about 40 seconds left. They're up. They were up 30. Florida comes back, fights back. Florida goes up to Slim Jesus. Bam. Here's a three. Shut the hell up. Place goes crazy. Georgia ends up holding on and winning the game. And that was just a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So Georgia, man, Georgia's a team. They're one of those teams. Like I said it before, a few of these teams, nobody wants to play them. I don't think you want to run into Georgia in March.
I've bled into it a little bit with your conversation as well. What is your top three conference tournaments that we should watch that are left? Because I know some of them finished up with some of the smaller schools. What are the three conference tournaments left that we should watch? I know you already kind of named one of them in the Big Ten.
Big Ten, just because of the implications. A lot of implications coming out of the Big Ten. The SEC is a little better, or I don't know, better is the right word, but their implications is not as many as people think. The SEC, most of those teams have already punched their ticket. Uh, you might be talking about one team in Georgia or Arkansas who, if they go one and done, maybe they don't make it. But I think all of these teams have punched their ticket. The only team from the SEC really even thinking about being on the outside looking in right now is you're talking about Texas. And I personally do not want Texas in this damn tournament. Not out of no hating shit. I just think they trash. Um, we ain't biased. They just trash. Texas, get them out of here, please. They're the one SEC team that I do think is right there on that bubble that's not going to be in it. But you're talking about Big Ten, SEC, the Big East. I don't know how much that matters. The Mountain West, I don't know how much it matters. You're looking at a bunch of these smaller conferences. It matters a lot more because there's only one or two teams that's going to get into this tournament from these smaller conferences without winning this thing. And there's some good teams. That North Texas, the Mean Green basketball playing machine. Who knows if North Texas at 23-6, 14-3 in conference record, winners of 7 in a row, get into this tournament if they cannot beat Memphis in the conference tournament. So I don't know if it's really tournaments, but it's smaller teams like that I'm gonna be rooting for this week, seeing if we can get two or three teams like even Drake, if they don't win their conference tournament, are they going to get in? Can they get in? There are only three teams, so just look around for that. I mean, the Big 12, it might be the one big conference that you have no clue. Somebody from left field can come out of nowhere. Kansas State. who's actually playing some hot ball. They lost today, but Kansas State is one of the hottest teams right now. TCU is a very hot team. TCU is one of those teams that's scratching and clawing and playing some good ball, and they're hoping for, yeah, the Horned Frogs. They're hoping for a chance to dance. So they know they only got one chance left, and it's making some noise in this Big 12 tournament. But just look at these smaller conferences. One more example is the Big Sky. You got Portland State at 19 and 12, Montana at 22 and 9, and Northern Colorado at 23 and 8. That's three great records, three great seasons, and probably only one of those is going to get a ticket punched.
March, seeing all the people cheering, and then seeing all the people whose dreams were just absolutely shattered because, man, we more. As heartbreaking as it is some of the best watching in March. Just to watch these kids, you realize like, oh hell yeah, we're moving on to the other kids. They're just like, or I'm,
It's,
it's over. Like it's crazy.
it's over, Johnny. College of Charleston return to the MAC, 23 and 8, 13 and 5 in conference play. Third right now in their conference. They have to win it to get in, and they're a damn good team. I think they deserve to be in. Um, and that's why you got some fools, and I do say this strongly: fools that want to expand this tournament to get a lot more of these smaller schools in. I think they should just make a separate tournament.
I knew
I
where
don't
you
know,
were going with it. I think they should make. We knew where you were going with it. Another
smaller
tournament.
conference tournament. Like I don't know, and they
It's
talk about it with football, and it breaks my heart because I do love these Cinderella teams like College of Charleston or like Townsend that come out of nowhere every 15 years and make some noise. But I don't know. Maybe it is time to have two different levels of D1 sports.
I kind of agree with that as well because like you do want to see the opportunity for some of these small schools because it does suck for like wasn't there a team last year that went like 14 and 16 but won their conference tournament? So then you're looking at a team who went probably what like 29 and 2 just to not make the tournament and you're sitting there just like damn, was that a good season? Which I guess at the
Yeah.
other end you could look at it like man that is awesome that like hey every game matters but it's a weird balance that you have to find too because yeah it's like you don't want to expand too much but it's like I don't think we can expand the tournament too much more. If anything, it's just you would take out some of these like 14 Big Ten teams for one of these smaller schools, but then that starts a whole argument of, well,
Strength of schedule,
whole
man. It's a trick. It's a
stupid.
tricky thing.
Fair though, you saw how it went with college football when you kind of throw strength of schedule out the window and then other stuff happens. Everyone, all of a sudden, now you see teams like Nebraska. No offense to them, this is just one I remember recently. We're going to cancel our game against Tennessee and play Ball State and some other school that we have never played in their history, and it's like and like it's one of I'm not gonna say anything like said, but you just look at situations like that and it's like strength of schedule has to matter a little bit, like said, but it's tough because like I do feel for some of these small schools like Charleston. It'd be cool to see a team like that in the tournament make a little run because especially in basketball too, like in March like that, anything can happen, man. These kids, you get those white
Anything can
kids.
happen, bruh. And I not to football is a little different. In basketball, there is a difference, but I think anything can happen on basketball more than football.
What's goalkeeper?
Man, this shit happens every year, bro. St. Peter's 4 or 5 years ago. F in Loyola Chicago, Florida Atlantic. Like you see a school that you never heard of with players you never heard of make magic, make history. They bring you to emotion.
Beautiful. I would say argue as a football guy, that is the one thing that's like if I was going to argue March Madness over NFL football, it is stuff like that because yes, underdogs can win in football kind of like that, but usually they ain't winning like they are in March. Like it is March is a completely different beast. You got to win what like how many games in a row? 8 to 10 in a row. Have show up 8 to 10 times in a row with college kids as well. By the way,
6 games, bro. If you're gonna win it all, and two of those is 24, 30 hours apart. Yeah. So yeah.
like 2 games. Yeah, two
Which
games.
what
Two
I will
games.
say this, and this could lead us into our next point beautifully. Duke, the Blue Devils of Duke, This I haven't heard anybody talk about this.
Yes, I do remember you mentioning this. Go ahead. I like this. I like the way you're thinking.
I was thinking about this because they have been a lot, especially lately. At least like 4 out of the last 7 weeks, Duke has played a Saturday game and a Monday game. And like the third time they did it, I was like, man, they got a bunch of rookies, freshmen. They're getting them ready for the damn March, bro. Or that 2 day turnaround. We're playing Saturday, we're playing Monday, we're playing Thursday, we're playing Saturday, we're playing Friday, we're playing Sunday. And I was just like, man, I think that is going to be a. People always talk about an edge in March. Coaching is always an edge. Stuff like that is an edge. Players that are just used to this. Okay, we're leaving on Friday. We're not coming back till Tuesday, and we got 2 games in between.
Emulate this too if is a noticed trend, and then you see Duke do really well. If some of these other coaches pick up on, because coaches love to leech and learn off each other.
Yeah, I mean, I watch this trend over the next 3 seasons, bro. Because mostly you see the Saturday and Tuesday being the big days of the schedule, and then every now and again you play on a Wednesday or Friday or Sunday. But most of these teams they used to playing every Tuesday and Saturday, and then but there's been a lot of Saturday, Monday games for Duke, and I think Duke's gonna make it to the Final Four. And honestly, I think they're gonna beat Houston, and I think Duke is gonna end up in the championship game.
Right now, while we get to you perfectly went to the final point, and let me say it again. In the Redbeard's opinion, who do you think out for, man? Who should we be looking out for?
Duke for sure, and when I say for sure,
Count on
as
it.
as
On it.
as long as they don't run into 2 or 3 teams before the Final Four, they'll make the Final Four. And those 2 or 3 teams, um, Duke to make the Final Four, yeah, minus one
Minus
sixty.
160.
So nothing special there. None of my stuff really has too much value for the Final Four, except for one. I do have a long shot that I don't have, but I'll give it to you, and that's Creighton. You gotta scroll a little bit for Creighton. Uh, yeah, I like Creighton. But my Final Four, you got Duke, you got Houston. Those are the 2 1 seeds I think make it. And this could all change next week. And I hope we do this again in between Selection Sunday and the first round because you really can pick a Final Four when you see the bracket. Um, but I got Houston being that other 1 seed that could make it to the Final Four. Duke, Houston facing each other with Duke winning, going to the championship game. And then coming out of the West right now, they're just getting healthy. They're just hitting their stride. They're just becoming the team I knew they were in November. The Kentucky Wildcats. I don't care what they come in this tournament as. We saw UConn win it 2 years ago as a 4 seed. Kentucky right now is a 4 seed. Give me Kentucky. Um, Florida's the 1 seed right now, and that thing you're looking at Florida, Michigan, Arkansas, Wisconsin, Texas Tech. Nobody in this bracket is better than Kentucky if Kentucky's at their best. Hopefully, they can be healthy and at their best. So we're going Duke, Houston, Kentucky, and then the final team that's going to be in the Final Four and end up winning it. They're going to end up winning it all. And I wish it wasn't so, Joe. It just happens to coincide this year with my favorite team. Michigan State from the 2 seed line. This isn't Denzel Valentine, Michigan State team that lost to the 15 seed. This team has a real deal, legit chance. And when I say chance, I don't even know why I'm using the word chance. It's definite. Michigan State will win the championship this year. They can beat you any way you want. You want to race to 90, they'll beat you there. You want to slow it down, they like to slow it down. They'll beat you 65-62. If you're up five and you look at them the wrong way, they're gonna talk about your mama and go on a 40-2 run. We just saw them do it 2 days ago. If you don't believe me, Michigan State Spartans, man, they got it. Whatever it is, they're gonna be the champions this year. They're gonna beat Duke 77-72 in the championship game. That is my opinion. As of now, in pencil, 8 days away from Selection Sunday. Uh, I've been begging myself not to believe in this Michigan State team because they are my favorite team, and I don't want to be heartbroken and broke. But you can't do it. I can't talk myself away from them.
You just know the ride. Like I don't want to toot my own horn, but with the Miami Heat run a few years ago, sometimes, man, you know your team best and really good this year. That's one of those things. I was joking around with you when I'm like, I know who this is. But like they've actually been like legitimately impressive in a lot of
I
wins.
know that's what scares me because everybody's talking about them now. I mean, just in the last 3 weeks, they've gone from like plus 5,000 to plus 2,000 to win it all.
Real movement, man. Jeez.
No, I mean they were like a 6, 7 seed after they lost to UCLA. Now they're a 2 seed right now. So the world is falling in love with them. I mean, they just won the Big Ten. I mean, that's what Izzo does, though. Am I right? I mean,
He has a record
I
now too,
mean,
right?
he's the greatest. Uh, People say he's overrated because of lack of national titles. He only has one championship. That's because they don't understand these sports and how hard it is to win a national title in college basketball. People don't understand that there are only 8 teams total that have ever, in 129 years, won more than 2 titles. But Tom Izzo, last thing I'm gonna say about Tom Izzo, I'm not trying to rush out of here, or nothing. But the young man averages a Big Ten title every 2.7 years, about every 3 years. He gonna win the Big Ten, and he averages a Final Four once every 3.8 years. So about if you go to college, by the time you graduate, you would have seen Michigan State in the Final Four, and you would have seen him win the Big Ten title, and that's just a fact.
Uh, that is truly some great stuff. You said 8 teams at 129 years have won twice.
Have won more than 12, so that have 3 or more.
Assuming that math is correct, that's about 6% of the. Trying to think of the right way to word it. Six
Yeah.
percent of the titles won. That's
And
insane. 94%.
it's random every year, dude. You get teams like Maryland or teams like think about the dynasties too. Like how many rings did Wooden win back with UCLA? Coach K, Bill Self. Like these are programs that got more than three with just one little dynasty. You know what I mean?
Dan Hurley got these two right here, and then
Yeah,
it's been since like 2011 since they won the last one. It was like
2014. Yeah,
yeah, I always ah
nah, it's cool.
wasn't that the Louisville year?
UConn. Maybe I'm tripping now. Maybe Louisville is 13 or 14
I think that's what it might have been. Yeah,
because UConn won two, and maybe UConn won 09 and 11, and I'm thinking they won 11 and 14. I think they did win 11, 14, and Louisville was 13. I could be wrong.
and that's it, around that similar time.
Oh, the madness. I mean, it's getting a little more controlled and it's getting a little more crazier, but I don't know what I'm even talking about. This shit is just wild, bro. Even looking back and just thinking about some of these times you're talking about, like Kemba Walker, and for that team, that was literally like North Carolina State last year coming out of nowhere and winning it all. UConn won.
Yeah, those 2 years that you were thinking
Yeah.
about, right on it. But I think that's my favorite part about March Madness. It's like the who's gonna be the story of this tournament. Like what's gonna be like the because I think last year was like a little bit of NC State, a little bit of Zach Edey. Oh, this guy's
Yeah,
just a walking what I forget what it is. He's a walking traveling machine. He's a
I
free throw
love yeah,
merchant. I love
love Edie.
Twitter getting angry and everything. And then you go to the national title game. It's like UConn's won back to back. Everyone's like Dan Hurley doesn't change his underwear. He's the man. Very next season, man, this guy Dan Hurley's a goddamn lunatic. What in the hell? Like it's that's the best part about Madness. It all flips. And you know what's funny? Hurley could win it all again this year. Everyone will just be like, he always had a plan, man. He always knew.
Yeah,
It's always like, what?
we were the fools. I will guarantee you this: UConn ain't getting it past the first weekend.
It's people. Is there anything else you want to leave with us? Like, so I hopefully, if everything works out, we'll have you on weekly for most of the madness. You can kind of have time to cover everything. So, is there anything you want to talk about before we come back on? Probably before Selection Sunday, sadly, but
I'm gonna put it to you like this:
before that.
from about 4 or 5 days ago until I get a bracket next Sunday, I am have nothing to talk about. I'm just waiting for this damn bracket. My skin is crawling. I'm scratching my brain. I'm trying to stop myself, like I said, from running 700,000 handicaps on potential matchups. All I'm waiting for is this bracket. I mean, I think about it 24/7.
So, I'll be seeing you that Monday after. Is what I'm here. maybe,
Yeah,
maybe that
that'll
Tuesday.
be that'll behoove your peoples.
That could actually work out because you're a really good point. I guess I was kind of thinking about it too. It's like I guess we could kind of speculate a little bit more. What's the point of speculating? It's like talk about presents before Christmas. Now let's just get to Christmas and open them. Why we got to talk about them? You know what I mean?
I know because, bro, I could sit here and wet your toes for 10 minutes about Creighton and West Virginia in the first round, and that's a matchup we never get to see. But could you imagine Creighton and West Virginia in the first round? Woo! That's a game, bro. That's a game that'll get you up out your seats.
Get to learn. 8 days. Watching. Thanks for the support. Really do appreciate it. Appreciate my boy coming on with me. Like I said, you'll probably see him week figure this out because man, the madness. Out of here, my boy.
Man, hot pockets.